Hello, I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. We're in June now, which is a month full of baseball. At this point, every minor league organization will start up its baseball season. I think the Dominican Summer League starts it out in about a little over a week, and everyone else is already in full force playing. So, little transactions we can go over. I guess before that, as you can see here, we've done a better job. We're 24-30. So we've had a much better month this go around. We're 5.5 games back from the division, and we're 5 games outside of a wild card. So we're catching up, improving. In fact, I believe we had a winning record in the month of May. Much better, as you can see. It jumped from 9-17 to so we put ourselves in quite a hole. To now we're up to 15-13 in the month of May, so that was a winning record. If we could continue more of this, we could slowly and surely work our way up from the hole that we created from the very beginning with a terrible month of May. Or April, I mean. So let's look at some of the transactions. So May 5th, the very man I called up to man center field, center fielder Clark Elliott, placed on the 10-day IL with reoccurring back spasms. He's expected to miss 6 weeks, so I called him up hoping he'd be a solid center fielder. Instead, he's pretty much immediately placed on the injured list. So right fielder Lawrence Butler recalled from AAA Las Vegas. And as you can see, there he is here, 7th versus righties. May 20th, 2026, kind of a tough injury. A lot of injuries this year. Second baseman Max Muncy was placed on the 10-day IL with a sprained ankle. He's expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. So that was a tough blow. We had to reshuffle some of the guys that were playing. As you can see here, Brett Harris is now at third, and I moved Zach Gelof back to second base. Zach Gelof has extensive experience at second base, but with his arm strength, I like to see him at third. But second, third, Brett Harris is still a good enough piece to slide into third base as well. So I ended up calling up left fielder Javier Sonoja. He had his contract selected. He was a straight-up rookie, has never played. Didn't last long, I can tell you that much. May 29th, right-handed pitcher Grant Holman was optioned to AAA Las Vegas. And left-handed pitcher David Leal was activated from the IL. So David Leal was... Is he back in the lineup officially? Yes, he is back in. He had a pretty solid... I mean, he was playing well before he got injured. He's got 8 innings under his belt with an ERA of less than 2, nearly an ERA of 1. So he's done well. Glad to have him back. And then a couple early month transactions. June 1st, Oakland and Arizona have come to a trade agreement. So another trade. Oakland sends 29-year-old right-handed pitcher Brady Singer. That experiment ended poorly. And 26-year-old minor league left fielder Alan Rodin in exchange for 24-year-old left-handed pitcher Blake Walston. So Brady Singer was kind of bringing down my starting rotation. I was hoping he would figure it out and become better. He wasn't. Good news is we finally unloaded Alan Rodin, as he was never going to play anywhere on my team in the majors. So just having him, he was going to be a career minor leaguer at the rate we were going. So I had to get rid of him. I'm going to trade him off and get something useful. I think 24-year-old left-handed pitcher Blake Walston is a much more useful piece to my team. So he's essentially, at his best, he's going to be like probably Brady Singer, but just younger and about $7 million less, $7 to $8 million less. So he saves me money. I get roughly the same product on the field, maybe a little better, at least for this year. He could still improve. He's only 24 years old, so there's room to improve in this young man. So it's not all doom and gloom as far as this is his potential. He can get a little bit better. And again, it's the fact that I could unload Brady Singer, who just wasn't fitting in well. And of course, Alan Rodin, who was never going to play anywhere. Despite his excellent contact skills, that's all he had. It was his contact skills. He has no defense. So just made no point in keeping him. So left fielder Javier Sonoja was optioned back to AAA Las Vegas. And first baseman Armando Alvarez was recalled from AAA Las Vegas. And that will end all the transactions. If you can look here offensively, we're starting to show some life. We're now breaking the double digits in runs scored, so we're finally looking more and more like a legitimate team. I've been trying to work our way up from being a horrendous offensive team to a decent offensive team and decent pitching and so on and so forth. You can see Jacob Wilson has really gotten. We'll talk about it in a bit. Let's not jump to me. I get ADHD when it comes to that. Our power is showing up. Stolen bases is still there. This pitching is where it's hurting right now. 15th in run against. We're 15th or 11th in starters ERA, last in bullpen ERA. So, all in all, our pitching is bottom third or last in most categories. So we can't have that. Defense is okay-ish. Could be better, considering that I'm purposely trying to play guys that are good at defense. So let's take a look at our pitching and see how much of it has changed. Ryan Johnson is looking like he's settling in. The numbers aren't outstanding or anything, but as you can see here, he's not getting blown up for 5-6 runs per inning. He's dropped his ERA from 5.85 to 4.76 over his last 5 starts. So he's improving. He's getting better. But he's a rookie. You expect that. So each month we're hoping that he shows a little bit more improvement every single month. And then next year will be his real coming out party where he's going to be a legit starter, possible one of the better pitchers in all of baseball. So really solid play all around. I'm happy that he's kind of figuring things out. One of my second round picks. One of my earlier picks. What was that? Why does it do that? I did not press that. Blake Walston, we just saw him earlier. He was at Arizona. Last year, he seemed to struggle. This year, he's mostly coming out of the bullpen. He's not looking great, but he's got high adaptability, so he should be able to fit right in and be able to seize his role and play well. J.P. Sears definitely dropped off from earlier. He's had a couple of bad games, I would say. Here's one with 4 earned runs, 5 earned runs, 4 earned runs. Just really one good start, I would say, this entire month. This was okay. Even though it was 4 earned runs, it was in 7 innings, so it didn't seem as bad. But outside of that, he's really struggled to kind of get things going this year. He's slowly regressing back to where he normally sits, which is at towards the 4s. So I possibly more regression on the way. And now he's at 30. He was never a great arm to begin with, so I'm sure he's going to start slowing down. Stephen Emmanuel's just. The last start really hurt him because he was doing okay until that last start where he didn't even last 2 innings after 2 quality starts in a row. So he's got really 3 bad starts in the last 5 where he just seems to be struggling. I think maybe he got hurt in this one. 2.2. I think it was on short rest. Short rest in this one is probably it. But not a good month despite us winning. He didn't really do much. He wasn't a key contributor. Ken Waldichuk. Back to respectable, finally. It helps that his last 2 starts, no runs given up. So he's really, including a no-hit, a complete game shutout in the last game against Miami. So that was beautiful right there. But nice to see him finally playing well. So we can get all 5 of our starters playing well. It's going to really help our cause. Because the bullpen is not where it was the last couple of years. We're trying to get there. Tanner Scott, he's kind of settling in now. He's got 6 saves on the year. ERA is a little high because he did get blown up in a previous game. But as you can see, over his last 5 starts, he's given up 0 runs. So I think he finally found his form and he's coming back. You'll see it improve because I think his adaptability is low. So it takes him a while to transition to a new team. But I think he'll do fine. Fernando Cruz has been a little bit of a disappointment. I although he has lowered his ERA of late as well. So kind of a slow start by him. As you can see, he was at 7-11 at one point. Don't eat their chicken wings. Not that you would want to, but just don't eat their chicken wings. It just looks weird when I walk in the morning. It's like 4 in the morning, there's chicken wings already made up. Like, how long were these here? Let's see here. Michael Kelly. Again, looks like our bullpen is starting to pick it up. This is over his last 5 appearances, no runs given up. Francisco Perez has been solid throughout the entire year. Braxton Ashcraft, what a nice pickup he's been so far. In roughly 16 innings, he's got 2.87 ERA. David Leal, he's back from injury. Kyle Muller has been solid out of the bullpen. And so is Luis Medina. So we've got some. So it looks like our bullpen may now be solidified. Like I said, we had to make a couple of trades, and we had to send guys up and send guys down. But I think our bullpen looks like we might have finally found it. And same thing for the starting rotation. I think we also found ourselves a legit starting 5 that we can stick with, outside of injuries. Let's take a look at the bats. Bats did slow down this month, as you can see. A lot of the guys did cool off a bit that were much hotter earlier, but still respectable numbers across the board as we keep figuring out who to play where and how to get the best out of our players. Of course, missing Max Muncy is going to be painful for a little while, but we are better depth-wise than we have been before in the past. Jacob Wilson appears to be my best player. As you can see, he's now a legit 60 overall as a shortstop, and that is not even his primary position. If he was a second baseman, they'd consider him up to 65 overall, so just tells you how good he has become. I mean, he's still batting over 300. So he's on pace to become Rookie of the Year, I would say, in my opinion. Batting over 300 right now, an OPS of 871. OPS plus is 145. He's on pace for a 6.3 WAR as a rookie. He's looking at 15 home runs, 93 stolen bases. These are solid numbers. Numbers much better than Darrell Hernandez has ever put up. And no disrespect to Darrell Hernandez, but this is why I thought I was safe in trading him, because Jacob Wilson just looked like he was going to be a much better product. And then J.J. Bleday still holding up extremely solid. Slowed down a little bit with the home run rate, but the average is still fairly high considering what it's been over the last. Yeah, so his average is still significantly higher than what it's used to be. So I don't know if that means regression is coming or not. I think maybe perhaps with his older, little more mature self, he's finally figured out how to swing at everything because he's got power. He's got legitimate power. You don't have to swing for the fences or strike out. I think keeping his strikeout rate down has really helped him as a hitter. It's more dangerous. Still on pace for he's on pace for a 20-40 year, 27 home runs, 42 stolen bases. So looking good so far. Has 9 home runs currently, so almost double digits. Seth Brown, not as a hot month as before. I think he even had a little cool-off period. Still doing well, on pace for 30 home runs. He's got 10 right now, so I think he's the team leader in home runs. Solid numbers across the board, even at a 33-year-old age. But like I said, I got some tough decisions to make come July, which is quickly approaching. Just Carson Kelly, despite his actual decent numbers, is no longer starting catchers, back to being a backup role. He was platooning last month, but he didn't do as well. I don't know where his power is coming from, because currently he's sitting at 5 home runs this year in just 28 games. Just out of curiosity, what's the most home runs he's ever had? Oh, back in his younger days, he had 18 home runs. So he had 18, but that was in 111 games. He was to play 162 games, so 15 home. So he does have double-digit home run power. He just hasn't really hit it with me, I don't think. Detroit, he had 2 and 57 with me at 6 last year and 95. He's already on pace to break that easily. And he's batting pretty well as well. His average is blown up to 257 compared to last year's 219. So just a much better hitter and still solid defensively. But the fact that he's got 5 home runs in just 28 games compared to his 6 home runs in 96 speaks volumes to his little sneaky power coming in this year. Who else is doing well? Brett Harris, like I said, moved him from first to third base. Should be okay. Like I said, he's a much better first baseman, obviously, more of an elite, potentially becoming an elite defender at first base. But he's more than solid enough at third. And like I said, because of Max Muncy being hurt, we had to shuffle around a couple of guys here and there. Just having a solid year. His power is never going to be great, but he's hitting in the 250s. Should still 24 bases. So he does provide 30. Like I said, you want 30-30. You either want 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, or a combination of 30 from a third baseman. And it looks like he's on pace for 33. So he's right on target for that minimum that you want if you're going to have somebody at third. Because it is a position that you typically want an offensive player leaning more towards offense. And then who did I end up calling up? Was it Armando Alvarez? Did we check him out already? He had to come in for first. Now he was destroying it in the minors, but that's the minors. But he's been, my first season here was extremely solid. Batted over 300 and had an OPS of 838. But then the following year, it was a really big drop-off. Below average player all across the board. And that was full year with just me. Didn't even play in the minors. This year, I had him start off in the minors. But he's hitting it so well. As you can see, he's got an OPS of over 1,000. So he's playing MVP caliber baseball down in the minors. So it'll be nice to see what he does up here. I think I only have him versus lefties. I do. So that's it, really. So we're in full baseball mode now. Like I said, the minor league starts up, or Dominican Summer, so the last minor league starts up. We had a good month last month, a winning record. So things are trending in the right direction as my vision is coming together. And hopefully it can, I'd like to finish at least 500, no more losing record, or at least be within 5 games of 500. That's really what I'm kind of looking for. Be in that 45% win range or better. So that's a big improvement for us. And that's also meaning that we're not really flirting with 100 losses. So that's it for this video. I will see you at the end of June.